Verse 385. Dark blue, red, and other colours, with salt, conch shell, milk, honey, fragrance of fruits and flowers, and rays of sunlight. They are neither different nor not different. The relation is like that between the ocean and its waves. So are the 7 Vijnanas joined with the Citta, or mind. So this first phrase conjures up a rather delightful image, perhaps of a temple where a puja or worship is going on. Any of these elements would be there. But it relates to the senses. The first one is obviously the sense of sight. You've got all the colours. And the next two, we've got salt and conch shell. Now, conch shell is often blown at special ceremonies, Hindu ceremonies. So that's obviously to do with the sense of hearing. Salt, it's not so obvious that that's got anything to do with the sense of hearing, but perhaps it's underfoot, perhaps dried seawater on a beach, so it's got this crunchiness, different kind of texture. I'm going to put salt in with the sense of hearing, although you could just take it as taste if you want to. Salt we kind of associate with taste. And we've got milk, honey. And these are obviously to do with taste, the refreshing quality of milk and the sweet taste of honey. And we've got fragrance of fruits and flowers, so this is the sense of smell, and rays of sunlight. And when the rays of sunlight touch you, especially in the morning, it's a rather lovely experience. So this is the sense of touch. And we're told here that they are neither different nor not different. So what's the point here? What's the message here? Well, this is when we begin our practice, in this realization that they're neither different nor not different. They seem to be different. They're quite different experiences. The senses give us different orders of experience. The sense of sight is quite a different mode of experience to the sense of touch. We learn to correlate the two, but really they seem to be completely different modes of experience. So I suppose you could understand it that way, couldn't you? They're different modes of experience, but they could be relating to the same object. So we had mention of salt. Salt's got a particular texture. It's got a particular taste. I don't think it's got much of a smell, but it's got a bit of a smell. And if you crunch it underfoot, it's got a certain sound as well. So all of these things are quite different, but they're not different in the sense that they all relate to salt. But this isn't really what this verse is getting at. It's like a dream. There are different things in a dream. Let's say there's a conch shell and there's some milk and it's in a dream. Are these two things different? Or are they just part of the dream? Is there anything distinctively different between the conch shell in the dream and the milk in the dream? The milk in the dream might taste the same way we would expect milk to taste. The conch in the dream, the conch shell, looks and sounds the same way as we'd expect it to sound. two completely different things. And yet, because they're both dream objects, they're not essentially any different. So this is the understanding we're aiming for here. I'm talking about dreams, and you might say, but this is real life. That conch shell, that glass of milk, that bowl of milk, they are different things. They've got different molecular structures. So we can create a theoretical understanding as to why they're different. But actually, just like dream objects, these objects are being constructed in our brain. We've got a story that they come to us through a certain route, through reflected light waves perhaps if we're looking at them. But the bottom line is that they are constructed in our minds. No matter what story we want to tell ourselves as to how they got there. And as enlightenment practitioners, we're not interested in stories. As fascinating as they might be. So the relation is like that between the ocean and its waves. Well, I would say it's like the relation between the dream and its objects. So are the 7 Vijnanas joined with the Citta. And the 7 Vijnanas include the sense objects. It's consciousness of sense objects. So it's not that there is a conch shell there, or that there is a bowl of milk. These are the stories. All there is consciousness of the conch shell, consciousness of the bowl of milk. That is actually all there is. We have stories woven around this. And if you're into modern science, then you can go on about the molecular nature of these objects. And if you're a chemist, you can talk about the chemical structure. Or if you're involved in the production of these objects, then you can talk about them from how you milked the cows and all the rest of it, or how you found the conch shell and learnt to play it. So there's all sorts of stories you can tell about these objects. But the bottom line is, there's only consciousness of these objects. And we tend to think of that consciousness as somewhere in our mind. So this is all about coming back to what's described here as Citta. And in parenthesis it says mind in the verse. But really this is awareness again. There actually is only awareness. There actually is only the dream. So we're giving up on all these stories. We're realizing that the bottom line is, all we know for sure is that there's awareness of these objects. These objects that we say are experienced through the different senses, but that's the story of the senses. We're coming back, we're stepping back from the stories, including the stories of the senses, coming back to this awareness, coming back to this awareness. This awareness which is at the heart, which is at the heart of our being. No matter what's going on, no matter what situation we find ourselves in, can we practice this awareness? can we override our mood habits, or whatever mood we happen to find ourselves in? And come back to this awareness